Hi, Dave. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hi, Caitlin.
So I had the opportunity to check out your upcoming book, Heavily Meditated. Thank you so much for sending that over to me. And I was so excited to see such a rich portion of the book going towards sex and sexuality. And my favorite, I also know that you're very close with mentor Jaya. You've spoken on stage before. You've interviewed her before. And so
That's great.
I have a sense of this, but for my audience, I want to know, why was it so important for you to include sexuality in such a big way inside of this book?
In biology, we have core drives, and our body does this in order, and this goes into the biohacking world. But the most important one is, let's be safe. Like, let's not get eaten by tigers, right? That's fear. And then the next drive is food, which is eat everything. And your body tries to do these things long before you can think about it. And then, like, why did I eat all the Ben and Jerry's? It's because your body made you do it. Why was I reactive? Because your body made you do it. And the third F word is fucking. Because all biology wants you to do this. And that means that your path is turn fear into peace, turn food into nourishment, and then turn sex or lust into nourishment as well. Heavily Meditated is a book about altered states. You get to choose your state and hold it for as long as you want. One of the most precious states is the one where you can go in, access the control panel settings in your body, and turn off reactive patterns that make you programmable and stop freedom. Well, 20% of people report meeting God during orgasm. And you can't tell because they're just laying there twitching, maybe the way they often do. But they're having a transformative, powerful experience, oftentimes more powerful than LSD. So if I'm going to write Heavily Meditated, which is a complete book of all the technologies and techniques that make meditation faster, or maybe even do the same thing as meditation, how could conscious sex and tantra and conscious kink not be part of the conversation? And I've interviewed Mantak Chia, who's one of the top tantra teachers out there. I've interviewed Jaya, and Kimmy Inch is in the book, who teaches conscious kink. So the idea here is, I'm not judging. You can go through any path you want to access the state that lets you be in charge of your biology. And for a lot of people, like, well, I learned how to eat and I'm less reactive than before, and I'm starving from an intimacy perspective. You want to be at peace? Have conscious sex. So I thought it belonged in a book about altered states because it is a traditional way of accessing altered states, more traditional than psychedelics.
And I often say that sex is the one human need that without it, we will not perish, literally. Like, our heart will not stop beating, as it will with air and water and food. But a part of us does die. It doesn't reach an actual level of expression and health and vibrancy in the world if we don't also acknowledge that our sexuality is one of our core human needs, as vital as any other.
100%. So I put it in the book because this is the encyclopedia, although it's more fun to read than an encyclopedia, I like to think. It's the encyclopedia of, here's the techniques available to you to enter the states you want. And one of the most important states is transcendence. And I don't care if you have to have your ankles by your ears to reach transcendence, good for you. And I don't care if you need to go to the jungle and, smoke a bunch of whatever, good for you. And maybe you did both, and maybe you did neither because breath work was your path. This has all the paths laid out, and you're just going to read it and you're going to intuitively know that one, I want that, and you'll feel it in your bones. Actually, you won't feel it in your bones. You'll feel it somewhere else.
You won't feel your bones at all. It's a very judgment neutral, judgment free, morally neutral methodology, right? Like all of these, none of these are any better or worse than the others, but like, you have multiple options to get there. And I see what you're saying is that if you have not included sex and sexuality, would have been doing yourself, your readers, everyone who this will touch, a great disservice, because it is such a vital and important and ancient path, and one of the original paths to reaching transcendence. Now, on this channel, we talk mostly to men, and men specifically who are dealing with some level of performance anxiety. And that can manifest in a lot of ways. It can be a mental thing. It can be a physiological thing in the form of like premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction. So a lot of guys are coming to me and they're like, forget transcendence. I just want to perform better in bed. So I'm curious how the book can speak also to them. And, as performance anxiety, it's just like other forms of anxiety. It is a relationship to fear.
One of the important practices from Taoism that I've written about, even in other books, is around an equation for ejaculation frequency for men. And it's age in years minus 7 divided by 4. And the Taoists say, if you want to maintain your health, don't ejaculate more frequently than that number of years. So for example, if you're...
Per week?
It's a number of days. So let's say that you're 47. So age in years minus 7. Now that gives you 40, right? And then you divide by 4. That's 10 days. So if you're 47, you would ejaculate once every 10 days to maintain your health.
That's the frequency. Got it.
Yeah. And you could do it less frequently. And they say, if you want to live forever, just ejaculate once every 30 days. And you're like, what? That seems insane. So I published my data for a year, and there's an ejaculation hangover that happens in men. And if you have a problem with this, you should know. Every time you ejaculate for the next 1 to 2 days, your testosterone levels tank and your prolactin levels go up. And prolactin is what gives you that refractory period where you can't get hard again. So if you have sex and you don't ejaculate, well, you're going to get a message from your body, oh my God, I'm going to die. No, you're not. You won't die if you don't ejaculate. You won't die if you skip lunch either. You just feel like you're starving, but you're not. So you learn to feel safe. And if ejaculation is not the goal, what's the goal? Making your partner meet God, right? So it doesn't matter if you actually penetrate her. What matters is go down on her. How many times can you make her come? Right? Mm-hmm. Do that.
Well, and a quick disclaimer, what I teach on my channel is that if you are going to practice any kind of semen retention, it has to be part of a holistic lifestyle. If you are putting a whole bunch of processed foods and alcohol and toxins into your body, and you live in an environment that has a lot of pollution in it, and then you choose not to ejaculate, you're not actually doing much good to your body, right? If anything, you could be doing additional harm to your prostate by not regularly releasing the toxins that your prostate can build up inside of it. So if you already have a healthy lifestyle and you're thinking about the other ones, right, you're nourishing your soul and your body, then you can consider semen retention as a part of your practice.
Yeah, if you have a super toxic body, even then, the drop in prolactin or the increase in prolactin and drop in testosterone, it's gonna cost you happiness. So even if you're not perfect in your lifestyle, but you're moving in that direction, what I'm mostly suggesting is even if you're like, I'm just going to ejaculate once every 3 days, even though the equation would say 7, that's plenty of time. Even once a week is going to keep your prostate clean, right? What's really important there is that sex stops being about how quickly can I get there, or even how quickly can I get her there. It's like, okay, I have a partner to play with. Right. And you can be like, what? This is a problem. So in Heavily Meditated, I talk about sex as altered states, and sex as a way to get there. And the way you get there is by like, who cares if I come? Who cares if I'm hard or not? What matters is like, I'm touching you there and you're touching me wherever it feels good. And we're just going back. It's play because it's not goal directed anymore. And what you'll find there is you become much more attuned to your partner. And if you're saying, well, this is impossible because, I'm going to prematurely ejaculate. Well, you go to your partner and you say, hey, I want to try something. I want to try not ejaculating. And for a lot of women, it's like, but if I don't make them come, I didn't do it right. But you're like, I want your help on this. So just trust me, I'm going to desire you even more when we're done here. But I really want this to be about you. And so if you decide that the right thing to do is for me to ejaculate, just let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to do my best not to. And it turns out if I'm in charge of ejaculating, it's really hard to not ejaculate. But if I ask my partner to help me out on that, then she's going to be like, nope. And I'm like, okay. And it actually becomes easy. It's the fact that you get to decide makes it hard to do. So you ask for your partner's help, right? And that can be profound because now you're like, oh, I can't ejaculate because she hasn't told me that it's time. And I asked her to help me with this. Like, and this is going to sound rude, but it's like having a secretary who helps you know to get to your next meeting.
Or I think it's a little bit kinky, right? It's like putting her, she's in charge now. You're actually answering her. You're submitting to her desire. In a really
you can do it intense. Definitely in a BDSM dynamic, but you can also just do it in a like, help me out here. Like, I know that if I'm in charge, I'm going to do it. Just like, hey, help me not eat junk food. Like, it's kind of a similar thing. And then this removes pressure from the woman. And then what's going to happen is later that afternoon, you're going to be like, I'm still ready to go. Like, can we go again? And this really can revive and help relationships. So in Heavily Meditated, there's a whole chapter on other practices that help you with this. And one of them is about regulating dopamine. So the name of that chapter is called Go Spank Yourself, which makes me laugh. And it turns out yogis used to lay on spiked like beds of nails, and monks used to whip themselves, not because, self-hatred or because they're sinners, because brief, intentional, conscious exposure to pain. I call it bicep, and it's not this bicep. It's an acronym.
Intentional conscious.
Doing that for 1 minute a day, it can be a cold plunge. That's what biohackers do. It can be tattoos and piercings. A lot of people who are working on addiction, you find they have a lot of tats. The pain of the tat helps them not go back into the addiction. And what brief pain exposure does, and it could be your partner spanking you if that's what you're into, that allows you to have more dopamine sensitivity, which means the amount of dopamine your body makes does a better job of motivating you for everything in your life. So the monks were whipping themselves because it made it easier for them to stay in the monk state. So having better control of your dopamine is actually going to help with premature ejaculation too. So it's totally fine. You're like, hey, girlfriend, give me a spanking here. Like, that's fine. Or eat some jalapenos. It doesn't really matter.
Or excuse for the like, oh, and lay on my bed of nails. Actually,
Yeah.
my partner and I do occasionally do like a hot pepper challenge, and we try to maintain
Beautiful.
eye contact and presence with each other, but
That's
we like put
cool.
back hot peppers.
That's
Oh, it
amazing. That's why
he's a
it
lot more,
works.
he's a lot more, yeah, well, then, yeah, we're supporting each other, right?
Yeah.
To your point, I'm
I love that.
delegating some of my responsibility to him because if he's saying like, you can eat another one, I'm trusting him, even though I feel like my whole head is on fire and I'm definitely going to die, but I'm not going to die. It's really fun. But we found that we have a very
That's
strict
kind of
rule. There's
kinky.
absolutely, it's super kinky, and there is no oral sex for at
I
least
was just
35
about to
minutes. We
ask.
tested it.
Huh?
We tested it. I made him try it on me after 30 minutes. I was like, come on, I think it's fine. He was like, it's not fine. And it wasn't fine, but it
You don't,
wasn't bad either.
yeah, you don't make that mistake twice for sure.
No, but yeah, your genitals they can't process it the same way that your mouth
They
can.
can,
It's a
but
little
you're
bit
just going to
different.
go for a ride.
Sure. Yeah. I'm, obviously sexuality has been a part of your personal journey, and the men who are watching you from my channel are maybe not necessarily aware of all of the connections between sexuality and, overall life optimization, spiritually optimizing. Like, a lot of them are really focused on just like, help me perform better. So I'm curious, like for you, one of the things that comes to mind is the experience and the harnessing of creation energy, creative energy, a sexual life force energy, and putting it into things, maybe even putting it into this book. So I'm curious, like, can you paint a picture
Sure.
of what is possible when we move beyond just a performance mindset and move into how I'm harnessing my creation life force energy?
I have been teaching guys to use, actually, and women to use sexual energetics to channel it into creation. And the desire for sex is chi. It is life force energy itself. It's the most creative force we have as humans. And I have hundreds and hundreds of people have come to me, especially men, because the dynamics are different for men and women. But they've come to me and said, Dave, I tried not ejaculating as frequently and not looking at porn and things like that. I got a $30,000 raise. I started 2 companies. I finally found a relationship. And this is life transformation because the body has this ball of chi. And some people can even see or sense chi. And if you have a practice that feels good but depletes it, I don't care if that practice is Taco Bell or OnlyFans, either one, right? If you're depleting it constantly, you won't know what's in there. And it's not like I invented this. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, which is the first kind of esoteric personal development business book. There's a whole chapter on sexual sublimation. So I got to tell you, like, owning that, if you learn to control your desire so you can ejaculate or not ejaculate and it doesn't freaking matter, you are a master of yourself. You'll become a master in the bedroom. And more importantly, when you need to do stuff, you are glowing with power. And you can use that to create, I don't know, a giant movement worth $63 billion from an idea in your head. That's biohacking right now. And if you think I was ejaculating all the time when I was creating, companies, I've done 750 million in revenue in just one company. You think that I'm just ejaculating all the time? I couldn't do that if I was.
Brilliant. Yeah, you're in the way that you harness and rein and intentionally move all of your life force energy, which includes the very vibrant sexual energy. It's entirely up to you, right? And you can put it all into performance. You can put it all into, the way that you complain or make yourself a victim. Like you really can put your energy into that, or you can choose to let go of the shame. And that's a whole different conversation. I wish I could keep you around for longer so we could talk about that.
Let's talk about shame just for a minute here. In Heavily Meditated, there is a process called the reset process. I use this for very high net worth CEOs who come and spend 5 days with electrodes glued to their head in my neuroscience school. And that is a big deal. What we do there, this reset process lets you permanently get rid of the things that are causing shame. So I would just say, if you're dealing with shame, do the reset process, and it's going to tell you, here's the external factor and here's the internal factor. And it's a process of gratitude and forgiveness that permanently changes that.
And that's something they can guide themselves through in the book?
Absolutely. It's in the book.
Amazing. Thank you. What an incredible resource that you've created. I'm so appreciative of you for coming on this channel. And where can I send our guys to get your book?
Go to daveasprey.com for all things that I do. And you can buy Heavily Meditated anywhere you like to buy books.
Brilliant. Thank you.